Hello, Bible readers. It is Wednesday, November 4th. We are waking up to read the book of Ruth today. A good book to read today. All the chapters, 1 through 4, and then Luke chapter 23, verses 26 to 56. How would you tell a family story? I think that's an interesting question as we read the book of Ruth. If I were to tell the story of a great, 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 great grandmother and how she made it through a really difficult time hundreds of years ago. Maybe I have a few stories and specific dialogue that have been passed down from generation to generation. Here's what she did, and here's what this other person did for her. But how would you come up with the rest of the dialogue? What words would you put into the mouths of the different characters in the story? What characters would you include in the story? Because you wouldn't know everything. And that's how Ruth should be read as an extended parable. This is not a historical report like there was someone following Ruth and Naomi and the others around, taking down every single word. This story, Ruth, is a lot like, in many ways, Jonah. As I said, like a parable. And an extended parable like this, the goal of a story like this is not to move Ruth in particular, is not trying to get readers to repent. This is a story about redemption and how God's grace works, as we see through Ruth and Naomi. Ruth is not trying to move us toward better behavior. It's trying to move us toward a greater understanding of who God is in the midst of people in really dire straits. And in Ruth, redemption, of course, is based on grace, not merit. Naomi doesn't deserve what she receives. She instead is representative of someone in need who receives the grace that comes from God. It's interesting to see where Ruth is placed. Very intentional, of course, that at the end of Judges, Israel is in chaos, right? There's civil war, there's kidnapping, there's all kinds of disobedience and awfulness happening. The judges have failed. And even in the midst of that chaos, God is in the works, planning something new, something different. And that's where 1 Samuel will launch us into. And so Ruth sits in that spot of the Old Testament narrative, between the chaos and God's next step in loving Israel. And it's no mistake that Ruth this book would get placed here. It's really well written with little ironies all over the place. And so, enjoy this read today. In the Gospel of Luke, we've got the death of Jesus. Jesus dies as a philosopher, as a prophet, and as the Lord of God's kingdom. It's important for Luke that we understand that Jesus is not being punished, because that would give the world too much credit. Instead, Jesus is sacrificing himself willingly, as a prophet would. Prophets throughout the Old Testament, we're going to see, they don't always end up so well with an easy death, you could say. Jesus dies as a prophet. That would be known and understood among those who are Jewish in the audience of Luke's gospel. But many would also, either in addition to being Jewish or perhaps not, they would also either be speaking Greek or would be very aware of Greek culture. Philosophers are very important pieces of Greek culture. And so a Greek philosopher would have had a huge contribution to Luke's portrait of Jesus. And notice that Jesus dies in the Gospel of Luke without any anguish. There is no, my God, why have you forsaken me?" in the Gospel of Luke, as there is in John. Jesus here in Luke is in full control. He simply entrusts his spirit to his Father in heaven. That is completely consistent with his life and teachings. This is what a philosopher death would look like. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.